Tired of straight white men having the power and everything, and it's like we don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men.
And I've been hearing that from a lot of the ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that.
I do need to go. I'm sorry.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we have the lovely Savana with Turning Point USA on campus asking woke students about white privilege. Let's get into it.
Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania has recently postponed an event that centered around being tired of cis white men. So I'm at UT campus to ask students what they think about the event. Let's go find out.
Well, I'm a cis white man myself, so I think I'd be kind of offended, but yeah. I mean, I'll be okay. I mean, people get harassed like that all the time, so.
Honestly, slay. I agree. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't know too much about what is like the event like.
So it was an event where people were going to go like paint and draw about how they're tired of cis white men, and then the students were going to be able to display their art, kind of just like showing how they feel about it. What do you think?
I feel like that's a pretty healthy way. I mean, like I think it's kind of funny, like hating on white cis men because, like, just taking out anger in a more healthy way. Like if they're just doing art and like painting and expressing their emotions through like a creative way, hell yeah, like I support.
I think the problem is just the name and that they're just like, oh, why are you attacking like a certain demographic? I think if they just change the name and just do like sneakily, I guess it would be better.
Negativity is not the answer. You should never diss on another person. Yeah. So there could be another way they could have carried that out. Yeah.
Uplifting everyone.
Yeah, I guess the question should just be, how do we feel about the white homies being hated on in Pennsylvania? Is it a good thing?
No, that is not a good thing.
You should never hit on a person.
Honestly, I think it is helpful because there's just a lot of problems within, like, I guess, certain type of cis men. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like all of them are like, but like there is that certain behavior that some cis men will like carry.
I feel like they just get away with too much.
Man, I mean, like, if I saw that, I would just be like, I mean, I haven't done anything to you guys, you know what I mean? I get the whole, like, like, again, like, if they were affected by it before, then I guess it makes sense, and I'll take that into context. But then again, like, if I was personally attacked, I mean, I would feel pretty bad about that, to be honest.
I don't know, it seems a little bit problematic, I'd say.
It's important to recognize the systemic benefits that cis white men reap in our American society.
Saying like we're tired of straight white men in society is really as like explicit as it sounds. I think it's just contributing to a general idea that like we're tired of straight white men having the power and everything, and it's like we as women of color, as like students at this university, like we're very much capable of certain things, and we don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men.
And I've been hearing that from a lot of the ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that.
I think I don't really know. Have you ever experienced like a specific instance?
I don't know, but I also need to go.
I know, I do need to go. I'm sorry.
As especially people of color, we know the privileges or the advantages certain races have.
Talk to me about some of those privileges that white people have that you guys don't have.
I would just be like, okay, I guess I'll start with, I am a black queer person. If I were to just walk amongst the streets, I'm also like women, like I look very feminine. If I were to walk across the streets in the dark as a black queer female presenting person, I would not feel safe because I feel like I would be pretty targeted. But if I were a white cis man, I don't think I'd be like the type of person someone would come up to and hate crime, because that's just not what happens. I think it's definitely better now. Like obviously I feel safe where I am now, but like I feel like being as a white cis like man, you would be safer everywhere. Like you will never face any sort of like just the feeling of fear wherever you are, like in some certain places, as you would as a person of color or a queer person.
You brought up the example of a man. What about like a white straight woman then? Do you think that she might feel the same way, or do you think that she has a privilege to not be targeted because she's white?
I think
she's almost as well as much of a target as a black woman, but it's just a black woman or another woman of color would have, first of all, sometimes, you know, in some cases, sometimes the white woman would be considered more seriously by the police than the black woman, or because the woman's black, the police might have some suspicion. And it's not all in all cases, but in some cases that has happened before.
And the one girl says, cis white men have more positions of power. One, there is a lot more white men or white people in society than there is minorities. So you would think that the job market would reflect that. But you can see that what she says is so false. When we talk about institutional power, look around you. There are black people, Hispanic people, Asian people in positions of power everywhere. You cannot say that the institutions are inherently racist and dominated by white people when for 8 years we had a black president, the highest position of power in the world. A black man was there. Keep in mind when you're watching these people, these are adults. They're adults. And this is what happens with critical race theory. You indoctrinate these people. There are no laws to advance white people in society. None. Zero. In fact, the opposite is true. There are no laws, period, that explicitly favor white people. Zero. But there are laws that explicitly disfavor white people, like affirmative action and any policy related to that. There's no example of affirmative action that explicitly favors white people. Right now in society, there's nothing that a white man can do that another person in society can't do. You think a black man goes to the bank for a loan, assuming they meet all of the criteria, they're not going to get the loan? What do you think, that the bank doesn't want to make money? We run a business, my wife and I sell to everybody. I'm apolitical with my business. It doesn't matter. You want to buy land, you want to buy a home, I'm going to sell it to you. It doesn't matter. You got the money, we're good. You meet the criteria, we're good. What's happening to these young people is incredible. And again, these are adults. Let's get back to the video.
I'm certainly cognizant of my own privilege because of my own race, this is the color of my skin.
What privileges are those?
Lots of things. I mean, like, I think there are certain assumptions that come with certain people. Like, when they look at a black person or an Indian person, they automatically have this profile in their head, you know, racial profiling. And that still exists. I mean, we're not going to escape that until human depravity itself goes away.
Talk to me about some of the privileges that white men are awarded that you guys are not awarded.
Definitely, like, I guess just getting away with situations. Like, if I were to, like, I don't know, like, I guess, here you go. I have to think about it. I can't.
It's situations like, if I had a problem with, like, a male teacher and they were a white cis male, there was less of a chance for something to happen to them because of it. Like, I could literally report them for anything, but because of that, if they were, like, upstanding in the community, sucks to me, basically.
Do you think that it would be the same reaction if it was, like, a black male teacher?
No.
I think this problem would be solved immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like POC people are, like, more targeted, or minorities are more targeted, especially with, like, crimes in general, or if a person of color was to do something wrong, people would deal with it more quickly than if it was a cis white male.
So you mentioned straight white men having more privileges. Can you talk to me about what some of those privileges are?
Yeah, so generally, you know, there's not really ever a sense of, like, discrepancy whenever someone is trying to, let's say, for instance, there is a man who commits a crime and he's, you know, a regular looking white guy. Police are, you know, generally more likely to not have adverse reactions to them. Say if they're, like, having any sudden movements or sharp movements, they'll generally be more lenient with them compared to if it was, like, a black or brown person. Generally doesn't really matter about, well, I guess the gender does matter sometimes, but more so I guess skin tone when it's referring to like police and stuff like that.
Where do you get that analysis from?
Like statistics, crime statistics, rates of arrest compared to comparing white people to like black and brown people or minorities in general.
What would you say to people who say like the black community commits the majority of the crime, that's why they're more likely to be arrested? What would you say to that point?
I would say that there are certain factors of society that have contributed to black and brown people being more impoverished, and crime is sort of the way that a lot of people see an escape from this poverty. Stealing is a crime, but say you're a hungry man and you go into a grocery store and you steal some food for you or your family. Is that really a crime, or are you just trying to survive at that point,
Specifically, minorities say that straight white men have more privileges than they do. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I would say so. I mean, I know that growing up, I had a few more privileges than my peers, for sure.
Like what?
I mean, just, like, I mean, I always say growing up, like, I didn't get everything I want, but I had everything that I needed. And I feel like some kids don't get everything that they needed just based on wherever they grew up, whether that's...
But do you think that affects just minority kids?
Explain on that.
Like, do you think that there are no white children that are also potentially affected by that?
Oh, I definitely do. Like, a lot of my friends that are white grew up like that. People that have grown. I didn't grow up in like a rich neighborhood or anything like that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, is white privilege a real thing? I'm just trying to figure it out because as a brown female, I don't think that you have more privileges than me, but apparently a lot of other women think that white people do. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what those privileges are.
I mean, honestly, like, I think it's a way deeper concept than either they do or I don't think it's that black and white. But I know that, like, I know a lot of Hispanic or black people that have had better privileges than I have, and that doesn't mean that they have like a black privilege or a Hispanic privilege or anything like that. So again, it depends on the context. I would say the majority of the time, maybe white people are a little bit more better off than their minority counterparts. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's that black and white, and I don't think that you can just say that white people have privilege. That's it.
Weigh in.
Yeah, I just don't think that you can generalize that just to white privilege when it's kind of more dispersed than that.
As a white man, I mean, do you think that it's easier to be racist towards the white community in 2022? Like, do you think that, we get away with being racist towards white people a little bit easier?
Absolutely. We absolutely do. I think, yeah, I wouldn't say there's a certain stigma. I don't feel that way, that there's a stigma behind being white. I think that's kind of a shitty thing if anybody were to say like, oh, I feel like I'm not comfortable in my whiteness. Like, my brother, you can't fix that. It's not something you can change. So
I've mentioned this many times on this channel. The fact that there was unfair treatment of black people and minorities, we can even say women in this case in America, gays in the past. And I'm not saying that there was, and that's unfortunate, but now we are at a point, and I wouldn't want to go back to a day where we're not all equal, but we're at a point now that we are all equal. What's happened is that these critical race theory people, and it's in critical race theory, if you read the papers on it, the founders, the writers of this, the people that came up with this idea, they wanted an overcorrection because there's wrongs that were done in the past, so now wrongs were done to minority, and I'm not saying that they weren't. There was clearly injustices done, but now we want to overcorrect by being unjust and racist towards white people, and that's for some reason okay. Racism is racism no matter what color of skin you are. The critical race theorist people, these activists, they will tell you that white people, whether consciously or unconsciously, are just racist. Racist at their core, at their heart, in their mind. That's what they preach. Racism is everywhere, and they go around and look for it. That's what critical race theory does. For example, if a white person and a black person walk into a store and there's a white shop owner there, if you help the white person first as the shop owner, you are discriminating against black. Obviously, you would not like black people. That is why you're helping the white person first. If you help the black person first, that's because you're somehow scared that they're going to rob your store. You're worried about them, so you're going to help them first so they can get out of your store. This is the whole theory behind it. Critical race theory is racist, and that is what they teach at these universities. The one girl said walking around at night, she feels unsafe. Yeah, as a woman, if you're walking around in maybe a high crime area at night, even at campus university, you should have your wits about you. Bad things can happen in the night, but it's not necessarily going to happen because there's white people around. Bad things just happen. Actually, when you look at the statistics, her being a black girl, there's a 94% chance that if rape happened, it would be by another black person to her. The stats on bad things happening to women in the night, generally to black people, it happens by other black people. Black people in society are generally murdered by other black people. And the one young girl that mentioned that if a teacher touched her in the wrong way, if he was white, he would get away with it. Not in this day and age. You might get away with it if you're a person of color because the school would be so afraid to fire you, they wouldn't want to be labeled as a racist. If you're a white man right now, 2024, they could get rid of you very easily. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.